बिल्कुल।
बाबा की जय हो।
बिल्कुल।
कौन सा जगह नाम
वीडियो
करौली वाले बाबा की जय।
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मनु मुकुरु सुधारी बरनो रघुबर विमल जसो जो दायक फल चारि बुद्धिहीन तानु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। श्री राम जय राम।
एक बार ऐसे भूमेधार में थे ना, भूमेधार का मंदिर देखा आपने?
जी जी।
खाली हनुमान जी का मंदिर था और नीचे कच्चा था बिल्कुल, वो मिट्टी का जैसा। तो बरसात हो रही थी, रात हो गई। मैंने कहा मैं नहीं रहती हूँ यहाँ, मुझे घर पहुँचाओ। बेटा इस वक्त कैसे जाएगी, रात हो गई है, सो है। मैंने कहा नहीं, मुझे जैसे पहुँचाते। बारिश हो रही थी, मैंने कहा मुझे जाना है। तो कैसे जाएगी कहा, तो नहीं नहीं तू यहीं रह जा, इस पर सो जा। मैं थी, मोहनी दीदी थी और नन्नी थी। तो हम लोग तीनों खाट पर सो गए। इतनी अक्ल भी नहीं कि महाराज कहाँ सोएंगे, कहाँ रहेंगे, कुछ बुद्धि नहीं। तो रात को महाराज आए, दम दम बदन भाई, मेरी नींद खुली। मैंने ऐसे महाराज, छी महाराज, मैंने कहा अपना भी नहीं सोते, हमको भी नहीं सोने देते हैं, क्यों रात को घूम रहे हैं कहा। महाराज कहने लगे बेटा मैं हनुमान जी का दिया देखने आया हूँ। हनुमान जी ना रात भर जगे रहते हैं। कहने लगे महाराज जी तो मतलब खुद ही हनुमान जी थे। तो उन्होंने ये कहा,
जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धाम अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नाम महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संग कांचन वरण विराज सुवेश कानन कुंडल कुंचित केश। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
संत की महिमा कौन बता सकता है? संत महिमा वेद न जाने, वेद भी नहीं कर सकते। संत की महिमा कोई नहीं जान सकता है, को क्या गाएगा। संत ठहरे, महान ठहरे, त्यागी ठहरे, तपस्वी ठहरे, ज्ञानी ठहरे। श्रद्धा 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 है सब कुछ। आहा, मन की बात जानते थे नीम करौली महाराज, भूत भविष्य की बात जानते थे। वो त्रिकालदर्शी थे, त्रिकालदर्शी महात्मा थे। कोई कहते हनुमान जी के अवतार में थे, खाली मनुष्य माया के कारण मनुष्य रूप में दिखते थे। बस जो जैसे भाव से आता है ऐसे फल मिलते। अभी भी भाव में बड़ी शक्ति है, भाव में।
Mangalamurti Marutanandana Sakala Mangalamula Nikandana Mangalamurti Marutanandana Sakala Mangalamula Nikandana Shri Ram Jai 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 Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sitaram 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 Sitaram
I didn't know anything about this devotion, saint or God. It was just a kind of tamasha, we call it. Oh, people coming and going, and I would love this crowd coming and getting sweets from Maharaj was there. My life was like that. My father died when I was hardly 10 years. Then my mother died when I was hardly 15. So it was, I was the eldest member of the family. So it was a kind of thing that I was since childhood attracted towards these saints and sages because I had heard so many stories about gods, goddesses, and moreover it was a kind of greed for us. In every family we have got this kind of greed that oh, a saint can do which God cannot do. Maharaji used to sit on the tucket and people from all walks of life would come in. And not a single one came with just for darshan. Everybody had some problem, family problems. And Maharaji used to give a patient hearing to each and everybody was satisfied. So Maharaji stayed at Nainital 3-4 days. Every day he used to come to my house, but definitely on the eve of his departure, he would come and stay the whole night. And then people in Nainital would know, okay, Maharaji is at Kailas's house, so he is going to leave tomorrow, the next day. And next day, the bus would be parked near the post office. Then Maharaj sit there and he used to do like moving his head. It was so beautiful just to look at him. Yeah. Then he would leave. And there were very, the big officials were his devotees. And everybody wanted him to be in his house, but he would come to my house. That was also a kind of ego for we people. Yeah. And when he used to come, many people, devotees would come. That was also a kind of just to get together, and I thought, oh, I can meet so many people like that. So it was a combination of worldly and spiritual joy together. That was a kind of escapism. I used to avoid school, college, and run to Hanumangarh. And I knew that if Maharaji has that power, he can, I can get successful in my exams. That was my feelings. So that was a kind of selfish bhakti. So I used to go there. Then at that time, Maharaj used, sometime during daytime, he used to go to devotee's house, and in the night he used to return back. And at that time, I was always with them. And fortunately, my class teacher, he was my tenant. And during these days, the rules were very strict. If you lose your attendance, you won't be allowed to appear in the exams. But even in my absence, Bhaktispat Pandey, his name, he's my teacher, he used to mark me present every day. So I was lucky. But only I had to take him to Maharaji in the night. That was a kind of bribe. That's all. So once it so happened, I used to travel during daytime with Maharaji, and every time I used to say, Maharaj, please do come to my house. Okay, I will come later on. So weeks passed, like 2-3 weeks. He didn't come. So I was very upset. After all, I cannot say myself as a matured person. So I treated myself as a child. And I thought that I had that, I am so close to Maharaji, how he should avoid me or like this. So that it was a kind of frustration. So I said, Maharaji, I am not going to see you anymore. See, like, then the temple was being constructed and all that. So one day I used to go to Hardas Baba there, and I was sitting. He used to prepare tea for me every evening. I used to go to him, and one weakness in me was that I was very much scared of ghosts. So when it was dark, I would require someone to accompany to my house from Hanumangarh. So one day it was dark, and Hardas told me that he will depute someone to escort me up to my house. So in the meantime, there was no house, no electricity, nothing. There was a small kuti. Maharaji came from there, and he didn't talk to me, nor did I. He said, I am going to the town tonight. If anybody wants me to be in his house, he can take me to his house. It was indirectly for me. Then I didn't pay any attention. But to my surprise, it was late in the midnight, after midnight. I was just lying in my bed. I am a late riser and I go to bed late. So I heard Maharaji, Kilas, Kilas. Oh, I said, should I open or not? But when he said, Kilas, Darwaja, open the door. I became, I don't know what happened to me. I went straight to the street. It was peaceful. And I just fell at his feet and cried bitterly, so loudly. They said, don't, I will. Then he came to my house. So it was. So these are how, yeah. And I feel I did so much mischief and everything, but he ever pardoned me.
When did he say about that you would always be like a child?
That is a funny story. Maharaji used to, he would ask someone to give prasad to everybody. And that distributor would have to give more and more to everybody. If you would give him little, he's a miser, he is not a good person, he doesn't know how to feed people, and he would scold him badly. Soon everybody, out of thinking that Maharaji would get angry, he would give more and more. So one day I was staying at Bhumyadhar. So in the morning, Ramayanand was the driver and the jeep was ready to bring us from Bhumyadhar to Kenchi. In the morning, it so happened that 5 or 6 persons came there. And the puri and these potatoes, they were very few, little. But had I been a wise person or a clever one, I could have given everybody little, and it would have done. But I gave just only 2 persons. Then Maharaj said, what about others? I said, it's finished. So he couldn't say anything to me. Then he said, Brahmachari, make more. So we were delayed by at least 30 or 40 minutes. But at that time, Maharaji didn't say anything to me. Then we traveled on the car. Then I could see his face sulky. And he said, you could have given all this and that. I said, Maharaji, one thing. Had I given little, you have told me you are a miser. And now I gave it to everybody. He said, I would have given. Then he became, at that time, wonderful face. Neither angry. It was so affectionate. Then he said, Kailash, he used to call me Kailash. Kailash, you will ever remain a child. Nantin, this is Pahadi dialect, we call child Nantin. People in the plains, they cannot understand this word Nantin. But he called me, Kailash, you will ever remain a Nantin. So that, I don't know whether it was a curse or it was blessings. And one thing, since that day, I still remember, He never deputed me the charge of distributing prasad. And for people like me, easy-going path, devotion.
Were you like a child?
Yes, then,
For you.
you know, I believe in that a child crying for milk. Just he's crying. When he cries, his mother comes and she feeds. So in the same way, if you cry before our Lord or God or saint, he will definitely come. He is supposed to come. If he, then sometimes I said that if he doesn't come, he will be cursed. So that is my way of devotion. It is not. God should not expect that if we have got pure devotion, He should not expect that we should go to Him. He will have to get down just to lift us up. Maharaji, when Ramdas first came here, he asked me to take care of Ramdas. And he used to stay in that room. I used to come here. In the winters, it was very inconvenient. But I had to come.
So you have a special karma with the Western.
Yes, because it was as per instructions of Maharaji. Yes. Whenever these people wanted to have this dinner, supper, he always used to send them to my house. So it was just like a mini feast, about 30-40 persons taking food all together. Yeah. When it is crowded, it is something else. When we are just 1 or 2 or 3 persons with Maharaji, it was something else. So one day we were sitting, Maharaji was on the taket. He was my eldest step sister's husband, old person. But very devotee, his guru was Papa Ramdas of Kasar God. So Ramdas, he were also sitting in front of Maharaji and Rameswar and myself. Then Ramdas, he was all the time half lost, half conscious before Maharaji. So at that time Maharaji said, well, Ayal, how beautiful it is. It was just sunset time. See the shadows, all that. And Ayal said, it's all shadow. So just that it's all shadow, 3 words, these were just enough to realize that particular beauty of nature, the presence of Maharaji, and the joy of the vibrations. So just in 3 words it was like that. So this is the beauty. If you can catch such things in front of Maharaji, these moments are very, very rare and precious. And it is not a important event, but for me it's because you cannot imagine how beautiful it was just to hear that thing. And for us momentarily, it was momentarily a kind of samadhi.
हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा बिराजे कांधे मुंज जनेऊ सज शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप जगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम सीताराम 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 सीताराम
There was one couple, महाराज जी दर्शन करने। He said, आने दो। अच्छा, आ गए, अच्छा किया। ये तो आ नहीं रहा था, उसकी गाड़ी खराब हो गई इसलिए आ गया। कोई सेठ था, ये आ नहीं रहा था, इसकी यहाँ से निकल रहा था। तो उसकी वाइफ ने कहा कि यहाँ कोई साधु हैं, उनसे दर्शन करने हैं। भाई साधु इतने सारे घूम रहे हैं कि किसके दर्शन करोगे, क्या होगा? They reached Bhavali. In Bhavali they had some problem in car. At that time there were very less mechanics. So he asked the driver what to do. He said at least 1 and 2 hours will be there for repair because I have to go to Halwani and get the pipe repaired. So what they took a taxi and came here. ये तो आ नहीं रहा था. कैसे कितने साधु घूमते रहते हैं. वो दिन भूल गया जब ये बम्बई में कुलीगिरी करता था, कुली था, और इसने प्रार्थना की थी हनुमान जी से कि कहीं से 100 रुपये मिल जाए तो मैं कोई बिजनेस करूँगा और 100 रुपये 50 चढ़ाऊँगा. इसने आज तक वो 100 रुपये 50 नहीं चढ़ाया, जबकि स्वयंभू हनुमान जी इसको 100 रुपये दे गए थे. One day one passenger came, kuli, where is your luggage? Well, only this small attache. And outside he offered 100 rupees note. He said, ये मैं इसका छुट्टा कहाँ से लाऊंगा? बोले रख लो. वो स्वयं हनुमान जी इसे दे गए थे. Sometimes happen this like this, but he will never ask you direct question. And it is not miracle, it is, he is knowing everything.
So Ramdas managed to charter a bus run by 2 Europeans that would take them from Bodh Gaya to Delhi. And he said, what the hell, let's go. We'll get on the bus too. So we got on the bus. And we stopped in Varanasi, and then we went on to Allahabad. But we weren't going to stop in Allahabad, but one of the people on the bus, Danny Goldman, had been to the Mela earlier that year and insisted that we go to the Mela site. So we did. And we were driving through this desolate, looked like a war zone. There was one tree and what I know now to be a Hanuman temple under the tree. And as we were going by, Rameshwar Das, he was sitting next to me, and he saw Maharaji. They said, there's Maharaji. So the bus stopped. Everybody piled out. And I, who had never bowed, scraped, pranamed, knelt before any human before, found myself flat on the ground in samadhi. I was out. I don't know how long I was out, but I do know that when I came back and I looked up at him, it was like 2 suns shining on me. And he was giggling like a small baby giggles. And right then and there I knew why I was in India, and my seeking was over. And I found my master. I didn't know I was looking for one, but I found him. He found me, actually. He called me. So that was it. You know, we stayed there for 2 or 3 days in Allahabad. Maharaji apparently had expected us, and he had made arrangements for 25 foreigners to stay. Earlier that day, he had made those arrangements. And, you know, we were very well treated and very comfortable, very well fed, more than well fed. We had to learn how to not get more food thrown onto our plate, which became a game, you see, because you go like this and they go like that. I was a devotee and basking in his love. Right. There was no talk. I didn't see him again until springtime in Vrindavan. And Vrindavan was marvelous. It was magical. It was, the rooftop was gorgeous, and every morning we would hear the kirtan starting up at Maharaji's ashram. The man sang a version of the Maha Mantra, which was so celestial. We were at least a mile away from the ashram, and you could hear it if you were on the rooftop. So at 4 in the morning he got going, and we'd walk, and there'd be gardens along the way. It was like the Vrindavan of old. We were somehow caught up in that beautiful, beautiful vibration of love, of Krishna love. And it was very sweet. And Maharaji was very sweet. Well, how I got my name is that it was the monsoon of '71 from Kenchi. He had told me to go for a walk, and for a week. And my sandals broke about 2 days out. And so I wear a size 45 European sandal, which were not available in the little towns of the Kumon, where there wasn't even motor roads where I was. So I was doing these pedal margs, these walking paths that linked all the villages together. And so I was going up and down hills in the monsoon, and my feet turned. They started to look a lot like steak. They were bloody, and they were beaten, and they had flies all over them, and it was quite something. So when I got back from the walk, I entered Kenchi, and Maharaj, I could see, I came around the corner, and there was Maharaji at the tucket, and so I was racing to him with my hands out like this, and he turned to whoever was there and said, "The guy is completely God intoxicated. He's must." The term is, he's must. And then he turned to me and said, "You are Tukaram." So that was fun. And I didn't understand who Tukaram was at all at the time, but I since read and saw, you know, the beauty of his poetry and his ecstatic states. And the thing about the name Tukaram is, if you break it up, which nobody does, but it's 3 syllables. Tu, ka, ram. Tu means you, ka means of you, ram. So I took it to be my sadhana, that everything that was coming to me was being sent by Ram. Tukaram, Tukaram. Wake up, Tukaram. It's quite perfect. Around that time, I'm sitting there in front of Maharaji, and he allowed me often to rub his feet and his calves, and it was an amazingly blissful experience to do that. So one fine morning at Kenchi, I'm busy doing that, and I don't even I can't even talk about that. But, so as I'm doing that, he looks at me, and then he looks at the assembled foreigners, and he says, "You know, I've been in this business for a while now, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. But there's one person that stands out for being the least worthy, really the lowest of the low, the scum of the scum, and that person is Tukaram." So needless to say, I became a pariah in the blink of an eye. All these people, they had rented houses in Kenchi Valley. I wasn't welcome on the porch even. Dog could enter the porch. But moi, Heidi, Tula, get out.
But you didn't seek an explanation from Maharaji as to why he
No,
said
well,
something like that.
you don't question Maharaji. It's not like that. And so I was camping up in a little tiny hamlet called Ninglat. It's tiny. It didn't even have a chai shop, so it's very tiny. And on next to a haystack, I found a comfortable spot to spend the night. And so I'd walk up the 5 or 6 kilometers to Ninglat in the dark and come back the next morning. And he didn't throw me out. And I would continue to rub his feet. And he would continue to talk about this scum that was there. But it didn't bother me because I was rubbing his feet. And anybody who's rubbed his feet would know exactly what I'm talking about. All is well. Doesn't matter what he's talking about. And so, and it culminated at one point where actually I went into a state of samadhi. It's not something that happened every day for me, and it didn't happen at will. It just happened this time. And it was divine, and when I came back into my body, there was just tears flowing down like Niagara Falls, and I was still rubbing his feet, and nobody noticed. You know, it was just something, and he looked down, smiled at me, and continued his abuse. And
Continue to abuse you.
yeah, so what does this mean? This means that I, who had a need to be loved by one, to be loved by all, realized that if I had his love, who gives a shit about what the other people think? You know, my thing with Maharaji is all I really need. And he made me feel it and live it. It wasn't some theory. He said, you know, he says, often to all of us, and to me in particular sometimes, don't try and figure everything out. It's better just to see God's hand in everything, and then everything is fine. Don't trouble yourself with why is this happening to me.
And how has it panned out in your life since Maharaji's
Oh.
presence? And
Maharaji is a very tough guru kind of guy. So I've had my share of suffering. You know, he asked me once what I wanted. And I said, I want mukti. And he went, huh? Get serious. What do you want? I said, you asked me. I want mukti. He said, okay, given. Now what do you want? I said, if you've given me mukti, I'm done, you know. I don't need anything else. I'm satisfied with that. And he said, you're very clever. And then he made it very hard for me. I had a very, very, very many tests. And I only asked him once in my life for something other than mukti. And it almost killed me. It almost killed me. I was in a state, I was hit with a triple whammy, and for 6-7 years I was not much more than a zombie. I was empty inside. Maharaji's name meant nothing. Nothing. It was the same as popcorn. You know, nothing. Zero. So it took a long time to come out of that.
and how do you explain this being here in Tiruvannamalai?
I don't know how to explain being in Tirunelveli. I can just say it's the greatest blessing to be here. I've been fortunate enough that the ashram here has given me access to entry visas, so now I don't have to leave the country. I can leave the country, but I don't have to leave the country, and I don't have to pretend to be a tourist anymore. I mean, when I got my visa here, it's an interesting story because for a couple of years I'd been thinking I want to get this, I want to get an entry visa. And then it just so happened that last winter I was talking to a healer kind of person here, and she told me that she would take me to see the man in charge. I said, fine. She said, so meet me in front of his office at 9 o'clock, Tuesday, Mangalvar. So she shows up and we go into the office, and she tells him what a great devotee I am, and da-di-da-di-da-di-da, and then he turns to me and says, well, what's your story? You know, this is your, and I tell him, well, you know, I've been coming for a long time, and I'm done. You know, I'm done in the world as much as I can be done, and so I'd like to be here continuously as much as possible. And then Jayanti says to him, he's a great devotee of Neem Karoli, Baba. And this guy, so? And so she says, you don't know who he is?
And he looks up at her like this, and he picks up an email that had been put on his desk 5 minutes before, while we were right there. And he reads, "Dear Maniji, thank you so much for your kindnesses through all this season. I'm on my way to London. I'm in Chennai just now. And I know I'm going to have a great trip because I've taken the blessings of Neem Karoli Baba." Now this is so bizarre because this is Ramana's, this is the guy who's basically running, he's the number 2 guy running the ashram. You would normally expect her to say, "I've taken the blessings of Ramana, I've taken the blessings of Arunachala," but Neem Karoli Baba. And so I'm seeing Maharajis in the corner of the room waving at me saying, "I'm here too." So he's here, you know. He shows his face now and then, but mostly not. And when he turns his back, he's like Krishna in that way, you know. Krishna and the gopis. Sometimes he was there and everybody's happy, and sometimes he's not there. But now it's gotten better. It's been 45 years or so since we met. And so, I feel I don't need the sign, I don't need a movie, I don't need a dream. He's there, He's there, and it's quite apparent to me.
बोलिए कुछ बोलना है
नीम करोली महाराज
संजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हरषि गुण गाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावे हस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे।
महाराज जी इलाहाबाद में प्रोफेसर मुखर्जी के घर आते जाते रहते थे। तो काशी की जो रानी थी उनका प्रिवी पर्स सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट द्वारा रिलीज नहीं किया जा रहा था। तो वो काशी के रानी इलाहाबाद आई बनारस से और महाराज जी से मिली। जब महाराज जी ने उन्हें आश्वासन दिया, जरा धैर्य रखो, हो जाएगा काम, तो वो प्रसन्न हो गई और वो प्रसन्न होकर के महाराज जी को अपने साथ काशी ले जाने का निवेदन करने रही। महाराज जी ने जाने से तो मना किया कि मैं क्या करूँगा तेरे यहाँ जा कर के, मैंने जब तेरे को आशीर्वाद दे दिया है काम हो ही जाएगा। लेकिन वो नहीं मानी, मेरा घर पवित्र हो जाएगा, आप चलिए। बहरहाल महाराज जी तैयार हो गए और उसकी गाड़ी में, बड़ी गाड़ी थी, उसमें बैठ के बनारस के लिए चल दिए।
आप भी साथ थे?
मैं महाराज जी के साथ था उस टाइम पे। मैं छुट्टी लेकर के गया था। पिता से पुत्र का आकर्षण होता ही है और वो पुत्र पिता के पास जाता ही है, ये नियम है। तो जब उनके यहाँ पहुँचा तो उनका वैभव तो था ही। उस वक्त फोम के गद्दे थे और ऐसे गद्दे थे, थोड़ी देर के लिए तो महाराज जी उन पे बच्चे की तरफ उछले और काफ़ी चहलकदमी की। लेकिन ये सब खेल ही था उनके लिए कोई आराम की चीज़ नहीं थी। लेकिन हुआ क्या, जैसे ही वहाँ पहुँचे एक खबर आई कि उनका प्रिवी पर्स चालू हो गया है और रानी को सूचना आ गई है। उसने महाराज जी को बताया तो महाराज जी ने कहा चलो तेरा काम हो गया। तो कहा कि अब मैं तेरे यहाँ से जाता हूँ। तो वो बोले नहीं महाराज, आज रात तो तुम यहीं रहोगे। लेकिन महाराज जी एक जगह ठहरते नहीं थे, मना भी किसी को नहीं करते थे, लेकिन वो चल दिया करते थे। और ऐसा जब भी कोई कहता था तो रमता जोगी बहता पानी, वो उसी रात को उसके चौकीदार लगे हुए थे तो तुरंत चल दिए। उनकी सारी व्यवस्थाएं अपने आप हो जाती थी। दैव योग ऐसा था कि जैसे ही दरवाजे पर आए वहाँ पर एक रिक्शा खड़ा हुआ था, साइकिल रिक्शा, तो साइकिल रिक्शा में बैठ गए। वो काफ़ी भरकम शरीर था, तो मैं कोशिश करता था नीचे बैठने की, तो उनको खेल क्या करते हो, बैठ जाओ यहीं, डांट के कहते थे। तो फिर गलियों में घूमते और छोटी छोटी गलियों में होकर के एक घर पे पहुँचे। 12 बज चुके थे और वो जैसे ही खटखटाया वो आ गया, दरवाज़ा खुला, और दरवाज़ा खुला, जैसे ही खुला महाराज जी के आने की खुशी उन सब के चेहरों पर देखने लायक थी। और हम जब अंदर गए तो मालूम हुआ उस घर का जो मुखिया था, मालिक था, वो बीमार पड़ा हुआ था और उसके लिए वो प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे, आज महाराज जी आ जाएं तो ये ठीक हो जाएंगे। तो उनका जो मनोरथ था वो पूरा हो गया। महाराज जी उसके पास गए, उसके हाथ को पकड़ा, सर पे हाथ रखा और कहा कि ठीक हो जाएगा, परेशान मत हो। उन्होंने कहा कि अब हम जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उनके हमने खाना बनाएंगे, भोजन करने के बाद ही जाने देंगे। तो उन्होंने कहा रात के 12 बजे कोई भोजन बनता है, तुम तो पागल हो रहे हो, तुम्हारे यहाँ एक रोटी रखी हुई है, ले आओ। तो वो कह के हमारे यहाँ नहीं है, जाके देखो। जब जाके देखी तो रोटी मिल गई और सब्जी नहीं है, थोड़ा सा इसके ऊपर शक्कर रख लाओ। शक्कर रख ले लाए तो महाराज जी ये विचार नहीं करते थे ये रखी हुई है क्या है, लेकिन उसी में से एक टुकड़ा तोड़ा और शक्कर और खुद प्रसाद ले लिया। तो उसमें से थोड़ा थोड़ा प्रसाद सबको बांट दिया, फिर वो चल दिए। और मैं भी उनके साथ मिला और रिक्शा खड़ा हुआ था बाहर, उसी रिक्शे से हम काशी स्टेशन पहुंच गए। कहाँ रानी के महल में, मैंने सोचा कहाँ रानी के महल में एसी लगे हुए थे और गद्दे थे फोम के, बड़े आराम से रात कट जाती, और महाराज जी हमको यहाँ तपती हुई प्लेटफॉर्म पर ले आए। ये विचार आया तो हम बोलते नहीं थे, जो महाराज जी कहते थे सुनते रहते थे, कभी उनकी बात को काटते नहीं थे, अपना विचार प्रकट नहीं करते थे, पूरी तरह समर्पित भाव से रहते थे। तो वहाँ महाराज जी तो अपने चादर बिछा के लेट गए, हमसे कहा तुम ये बेंच पड़ी हुई है इस पर लेट जाओ। उनका राम नाम बराबर चलता रहा था, वो आवाज़ सोने के खर्राटों की आवाज़ शुरू हो जाती, लेकिन राम राम बराबर चलता रहता।
Sharada Saita Isa Yamakubera Digapala Japunte Yamigo Pida Kai Sake Kapunte Tumarupakara Sugriwan Gina Brahma Malaya Raja Paladina Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram.
So my friend was talking to another American who was staying in the Forest Guest House in Rishikesh. And he said, do you know anywhere good to go for a few months, to see out the monsoon? And this other man said, well, I've just come from a place near Nainital, a little village. And there's an old Baba there in Kenshi, and he feeds people. So we thought, well, that sounds really good. We'll go and see him. The Kacha house was for the passers through and the people who just arrived and things. We were told we could sleep there the night, so we went and slept. So anyway, next day, about 9, we decided to go and see this man and thank him for his hospitality. So we went down, and I was kind of hanging around and by the tucket, Baba's tucket there. And it was a couple of hours. And then all of a sudden there was a loud noise as the doors opened. The doors on the right-hand side of the tucket flung open, bang. And Baba came out, and everybody stood up, and people were trying to touch his feet, and it was like, wow, who's this? Yeah, it was amazing, because it was like the sun dressed in a technicolor blanket, with all the planets kind of circling about him as he walked across. The devotees were trying to touch his feet, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I stayed in Kenshi until towards the end of August. So I was here end of June to the end of August, July, and all 2 months really, just over. And yeah, I saw him a few times. He actually spoke to me once, sitting on the tucket, moving around like he did, and talking to people and various things. And then he looked at me, and he said, "Nam ki hai." So I stood up. Craig. He said, "Where are you from?" In Hindi, obviously. I said, "Wales." "Wales? Where's Wales?" And there was somebody said, "It's the same as England, Baba." And I said, "No, it isn't. It's Wales." So there was a general discussion about where Wales was, and it was decided that it was the mountains by the side of England.
Okay.
Yeah, which is
Fair enough.
fair description.
Okay.
And he said, "Beto, sit down."
Sit down.
So I did, and that was it.
But you didn't, a lot of people would usually try and ask him a question or just, you didn't have that need to do that.
He had a huge effect on me.
Just his presence.
Just by being in Kenshi and seeing him however many times it was over that period of time. Towards the end of the stay, I didn't shave at the time, so I didn't have a mirror. So I hadn't seen myself in the mirror for quite a while, a few months since I came, since whenever the last hotel was where there was a mirror. And there was one chai shop in Kenshi then, one small chai shop. And for some reason, I can't remember why, but I went into the back of the chai shop. I can't remember what I was doing. But they had a mirror on the wall, on the right side at the back. And I waltzed down the back and I was doing something, and I looked. Wow. And I grabbed my hair to make sure it was me. And wow, it is me. And I didn't recognize myself. It was a bit like the ugly duckling fable. The ugly duckling fable, It turns into a swan. And it was just Baba's grace. He transformed me. And he spoke to me once. So, there we go.
Compassion. So much. If you want me to describe Maharaji, I'd say kind. So kind. So many things in our life have happened, and we just know that Maharaji has put a paw in the works. It just all kind of...
Yep.
Yeah. When I met him, he had 3 small pictures of Maharaji. This old guy in the blanket. I asked him, "Who's this old guy in the blanket?" And those pictures were on our mantelpiece.
When we came in 78, we met Ma. Yeah? And Ma taught us how to live over that 3 years.
3.5 years we
Yeah.
had here. And we had 2 kids
Okay, here.
here.
So that was the actual, this is how you should behave and this is how you should live.
But
Learning.
not a verbal.
No.
No verbal instruction of do this, do that.
No.
Nothing like that. We used to
The
come
odd-
up every day.
The odd occasion she'd tell us something.
Yeah.
Don't eat eggs.
Yeah, she told me
Okay.
definitely don't eat eggs.
You know, okay.
And that has been a really challenging thing
And
in the West.
when I was with Baba and the Catcher House, we had our own kitchen. And word came from Baba, no onions, no garlic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
When we got back to the UK with our 2 babies and no possessions, and we were about 10 years behind our peers, and we really knew that we wanted to remain living this way.
I tell you how strange we were when we went back.
Very
Okay.
strange.
For the normal Western way of life. We got a house, social housing, yeah, we moved there. And for the first 3 years,
Yeah.
we used to take a cold bath every morning.
The 2 of us.
Wow.
The children had warm water, but we had cold.
And in the winter, we had to unfreeze the ice in the pipes.
In order to do that thing.
So that's how kind of affected we were by living in Kenshi.
Because it was a thing of, it would be easy to forget this, and more. Easy. Because, you know, there's so much other stuff, distractions, and the culture is so different and focused on materiality and all of those things. So we did the opposite thing in order to get through that. We hung on to.
Yeah, it took us about 10 years.
It was very extreme.
Yeah, we were extreme. We were extreme. we clung on to what we'd learned here really strongly, you know, just wouldn't let it
And
go.
I suppose if I had one fear at the time, it would have been that I would have forgotten the grace, what the grace was, what the grace can do. And if I'd forgotten that, I knew I would be lost.
Because you realize how precious it was.
Exactly. And he's done lots of things in our lives to,
Oh,
I mean,
every day.
I always think my work is a grace.
Mm.
I work in developmental movement, but I work with kids with learning disabilities or physical disabilities. And for me, that was my saver.
And your children, how did they respond to? Because for them, it would have been very
Quite
strange.
hard.
and-
Yeah.
It was initially, but
But eggs were the biggest thing.
eggs the biggest one.
Because if they went to children's parties, there's eggs in the cakes and so on. And then you'd be saying to them, no, it's got eggs in. And they'd be upset about that because they couldn't eat cake. So then I had to make eggless cake for birthdays and things like that. And you know, vegetarian pizzas and vegetarian burgers.
At that time, it was hard. Now it's still.
It's easier now.
I think all real spirituality
At the core, egg hen.
is love.
Is love.
Yeah. Whichever way you're looking at it, it's just a different facet of the jewel, as the Buddha said.
Yes.
My grandmother was a very spiritual lady, and I was brought up as a Methodist, but I never feel as if I've made a choice of something different. I just feel, because I don't live any different really to the 10 Commandments. They stand mostly in all religion, I would say. And so I never felt that I had to give up the joy that I had as a child loving Jesus. I didn't ever have to give that up, but my path took me on a slightly different way.
If somebody asked me what religion are you, I would say I'm a Hindu. However, I'm really just a Hanuman Maharaji Neem Karoli Baba devotee. And if that makes me a Hindu, then I'm a Hindu.
It's grace. The grace is what's remarkable. That's the only thing that's remarkable.
My name is Ajay Kumar.
Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Tomaro mantra Viveshanamana Lankishvara Ae Savajagajana Yoga Sahasra Yojana Paravana Lelyotai Madhura Paranyana Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukamaya Jaladi Lange Gaya Charyanaya Durga Makaya Jagata Kijete Sugamanugra Tumaretete Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sri Ram Jai Ram.
हमारे कश्मीर में हमारे नाना सियाही बहुत बड़े संत रहते थे। तो जब हमारी माँ की शादी हो गई तो हर बच्चा मर जाए पहला, तो हमारे नाना जी ने पत्री दिखाई तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं ये तो विडो हो जाएगी। तो हमारी माँ जो थी उस संत को चिपट गई कि मैं विडो नहीं होंगी। कश्मीर में हमारे नाना के घर ही रहते थे, तो बहुत पीछे पड़ी वो। तब उन्होंने ये 4 फल दिए हमारे माँ को, हम 4 भाई बहन हैं, और कहा कि मैं बड़ी दूर से इनको लाया हूँ, ठीक से पालना। तो उनकी वजह से हम लाए गए। अब बताओ, मैं 6 साल की बच्चा, वो संत हमारे, उनके दांत नहीं, उनकी नाक नहीं, उनके फला नहीं, शक्ल है, अरे हमें चिपटी रहती थी उन्हें। 8 साल का बच्चा मैं, 10 साल की, मुझसे वो खाना पकवाते थे, पूरी आलू, और खुद हम दोनों बैठ के खाते थे उसी कटोरे में। कि मैं अमेरिका से नौकरी छोड़ के माँ बाप ने चिट्ठी लिखी, एकदम हम आ गए। आते ही महाराज जी के दर्शन हुए। तो
आप नहीं जानते थे उनके बारे में?
अरे नहीं, कुछ नहीं। बद्रीनाथ में हम थे भाई के पास, वहीं से अमेरिका से जब लौट के आए तब रेस्ट कर रहे थे। इतने में एक आदमी आया कि आपको बुला रहे बाबा। बाबा जी? कौन बाबा जी? मैं क्या जानूँ। तो मैं गई नीचे, तो वहाँ सिद्धि माँ, खूब छोटी माँ, महाराज जी सब, तो मुझे बहुत याद करती है, इसलिए मैं आया हूँ। मन में मैंने कहा आपको मैं जानती नहीं, न मैं आपको पहुँचा, मैं कहाँ से याद करती हूँ। तो मैंने कहा ऐसा क्यों कह रही है, और तू याद करती, मैं तेरे को इसीलिए आया हूँ मिलने। 2 मिनट बाद मुझे स्ट्राइक किया, अरे भगवान को तो याद करते ही है। वो भी उन्होंने प्रेरणा दी, बुद्धि ठीक रखी। तो मैंने कहा हाँ, भगवान को तो याद करते ही है। तो मुझे खाना खिलाएगी? मैंने कहा खिलाऊंगी। पर जितने दिन रहे मैं खाना बना के ले जाती थी और कहाँ कहाँ मिलेंगे, कहीं इधर कहीं उधर, कहीं जंगल में,
बद्रीनाथ में
बद्रीनाथ में। और एक दिन जब गई तो काफी दूर बैठे कहीं कुत्ते मेरे पीछे, शिकारी कुत्ते वहाँ बद्रीनाथ के। मैं पहुँच गई खाना लेके, कहाँ वो नदी किनारे बैठे, खाया पिया, हंसे खूब। फिर जाएगी तो वो बैठे थे उनके संग जो, कहे महाराज जी छोड़ाऊँ मैं? नहीं, अकेली जाएगी। वो कुत्ते फिर पीछे, खाओ खाओ खाओ। दूसरे दिन बद्रीनाथ पे रावल जी, वहाँ पुजारी जी मंदिर के सब महाराज जी से लड़ने गए कि अरे वो तो शिकारी कुत्ते खा लेते हैं, इतने खा। अरे कुछ नहीं होता इसको।
अच्छा, आपके
हाँ, अब मुझे बाद में क्या ज्ञान आया कि तेरे पीछे शत्रु और दुश्मन लगेंगे तो डरना मत। और वही हुआ मेरे संग। जेल में काम करती थी तो आप सोचो, सारे एक से एक दुश्मन।
कहाँ काम करते थे आप?
और मैं यहाँ सोशल वेलफेयर में डिप्टी डायरेक्टर थी, तो जेल वेल सब वहाँ सोशल वर्क के लिए मुझे जाना पड़ता था ना। ये नौकरी वोकरी सब महाराज जी की वजह से है, क्योंकि मैंने कहना माना। फिर मुझे जब मिले तो बोले 2 चिट्ठियाँ लग, एक क्या कहते हैं केहर सिंह को, और एक यहाँ गवर्नर थे भगवान सहाय। अब क्या चिट्ठी लिखूँ, बस यही लिख जाए कि आपको बाबा जी आशीर्वाद भेज रहे हैं। फिर यहाँ आई तो भगवान सहाय क्या मिलने गई, गवर्नर क्या बोले आपको कोई काम है? मैंने कहा मुझे कोई काम नहीं है। तो अकेले बैठे बात करने, तो गार्डन में कैसे महाराज जी मिले और बात करते करते बोले कि आप सर्विस करेंगी? मैंने कहा सर्विस तो मेरे सेलेक्ट हो गई हूँ। नहीं, बाबा जी ने आपको नौकरी के लिए भेजा है। अब मैं चुप। अब बाबा जी का नाम लिया तो मैं क्या कहूँ?
मगर आपको बाबा जी में इतना विश्वास कैसे हुआ?
बाबा जी का विश्वास तो हम बचपन से संत के पास थे ना, मैंने आपको बताया ना।
मगर आपको
तो बाबा जब महाराज जी मिले तो मुझे तो उन्हीं संत का याद आया ना।
तो आपने
और वही बातें महाराज जी ने करी, जो वो करते थे एग्जैक्टली वही सब महाराज जी ने किया, और कभी उनका नाम नहीं लिया। वही होंगे ये लोग, इनके क्या रूप है, भगवान का तो एक ही किसी रूप में हो। तो इसलिए महाराज का कहना तो मैं टाल ही नहीं सकती। और जब महाराज जी बद्रीनाथ में थे, हमने बद्रीनाथ के दर्शन नहीं किए थे न, महाराज जी ने कहा बद्रीनाथ के दर्शन करो तब, क्योंकि वो बद्रीनाथ खुद ही बैठे थे। अब दिमाग में आ रहा है कि खाना ले जाती थी ना तो थाली सर पे रख लेते थे। मैं को महाराज जी कितना मेरे खाने का प्यार करते, ये थोड़ी सा उस टाइम नहीं आया कि तो साक्षात भोग ही लगा रहे। उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग करी मेरी और दिखाया संसार क्या है। नाम नहीं लूँगी, किसी के पास ले जाते थे जो मेरे बहुत खास थे और बहुत बड़े आदमी और बड़े लर्नेड। तो महाराज जी ने तो मेरी बड़ी खातिर होती थी। फिर धीरे से महाराज जी ने डांटना शुरू किया मुझे। फिर नीचे आके मुझे बुला के पूछते थे तुझे बुरा तो नहीं लगा? मैंने कहा मैंने आपसे कह दिया मुझे कुछ बुरा नहीं लगता, आपकी जो मर्जी है करिए। तो फिर ज़्यादा करना शुरू किया, चली जा मेरी आंखों के सामने से दुष्ट कहीं की फला। फिर शाम को बुलाए तुझे बुरा तो नहीं? मैंने कहा मैंने महाराज आपसे कह दिया मुझे कुछ बुरा नहीं लगता, आप कुछ करिए। खूब महाराज जी ने शुरू कर दिया। क्या दिखाया महाराज जी ने मेरे को? वही लोग जो इतना मेरे को प्यार करे, मेरी इज्जत करे और मेरा वो, अब इनमें वो बात नहीं है। अब महाराज जी ने नहीं लाइक करते, छुट्टी करी मेरी। ये दिखाया महाराज जी ने, किसी एक ने ये नहीं कहा कि नहीं इतनी बुरी नहीं है महाराज जी, इसको माफ़ कर दीजिए, इसको क्षमा कर दीजिए। ये नहीं, खुश हो रहे अंदर अंदर। तो मेरी ये ट्रेनिंग थी कि तू ना करना ऐसा।
बता रहे थे ना कि आपको वो अलग अलग नामों से बोलते थे जो खराब
मेरे को? हाँ हाँ,
वो जरा बताइए
क्या क्या नहीं बोलते। नक्शी, दुर्बंडू, उसके बाद चुड़ैल, सुना कभी तुमने? चुड़ैल आजा। फिर
आपको बुरा नहीं लगता?
मुझे क्यों बुरा लगेगा भाई? वो वो इतने बड़े संत मेरे क्या क्या बुराइयां निकाल रहे थे, मैं तो खुश हो रही थी अंदर ही अंदर। अरे डायरेक्ट पुकारते थे चुड़ैल चुड़ैल, और सब बैठे हंस रहे हैं। मुझे मुझे क्यों बुरा लगेगा?
आपको लगता था अच्छा
नहीं
है आपका कुछ?
भाई, मैं क्या हूँ और मैं अंदर से क्या करी है तो मुझे मालूम है ना।
बहुत कमाल का ये तो
तो ये भी तो उनकी ब्रेन, या जो हमारे बचपन में संत थे वो ट्रेन कर गए होंगे भाई। एक 6 साल का बच्चा एक संत के संग बैठा खाना खा रहा, वो कर रहा बजाय घूमने के, और हमारे सारा परिवार के लोग तो डल लेक में और बोटिंग कर रहे थे। तो ये उन्हीं की कृपा थी ना।
तो आपको क्या लगा कि इससे आपको क्या क्या फायदा हुआ? ये कृपा हुई कि वो कुछ भी बोलते
मुझे तो एक ही फायदा चाहिए था, वो मेरे संग है कि महाराज जी आप बस भूले मत मुझे, आप भरे और कोई नहीं चाहिए मुझे। मुझे सब बुरा कहे, सब ऐसा कहे, मुझे वो करे, पर आप खुश रहो। तो अब भी हंसते दिखते। पूजा करने में जाओ कमरे में, यहाँ महाराज जी की फोटो देखोगे हंसते हुए। तो मेरे को तो जो मांगा वो मुझे मिल रहा है। अकेले ऐसे ही रख गए मेरे को।
आपने कभी शादी
कैसी
शादी
क्या कह रहे?
शादी नहीं करी कह रहे?
तो शादी करने देते तब तो करती।
नहीं करने दिया उन्होंने?
कमाल है, एक से एक ऑफर आए। ये इस चुड़ैल से कौन शादी करेगा? एक से क्या कहते हैं, इस बुढ़िया से कौन करेगा? बुढ़िया 50 साल की बुढ़िया से कौन करेगा? वो आदमी मुझसे,
क्या उम्र थी?
अरे उस टाइम 25-30 की 35 की। तो मैं भी तो करूँ, मुझसे पूछेंगे आपकी क्या एज है? मेरे का 55 है। आप तो बड़ी यंग लगती हो। मैंने कहा बाबा जी की वजह से। मैं तो मजे लेती थी। अरे जो मेरे लिए अच्छा वही तो वो करेंगे। मेरे को कोई
पूरा विश्वास था मतलब?
कोई मेरे को इच्छा नहीं, कुछ नहीं। जो ठीक है, मुझे ये मालूम है कि उनको क्या लड्डू मिल रहे। कितनी शादियां कराई बाबा जी ने। एक था वो भाग भाग जाए कि मैं नहीं करूँगा। कितनी ये भी तो खाया उन्होंने ना, जिनकी अब मेरे लिए क्या अच्छा है तो उन्हें मालूम था ना।
आपने कभी कुछ मांगा उनसे?
कुछ नहीं, एक ही चीज़ मांगी कि आप भूलिएगा मत मुझे। तो मुझे और क्या चाहिए? बिन मांगे मोती मिले, मांगे मिले न भीख।
और आपको कभी अकेलापन नहीं महसूस हुआ?
क्या चीज़?
अकेलापन कभी महसूस हुआ?
अकेलापन? अकेली कभी हुई नहीं। बचा ये आप कहाँ से अकेली हूँ? वो कौन लग रहे मेले खाना लेके आ गए? नहीं, जबकि मेरी कोई बात नहीं हुई, मैंने कुछ कहा नहीं। वो सामने अभी वो चले गए अमेरिका। छोटे बच्चा जब से हुआ उनका, वो पूरे टाइम खाना भेजते। फिर मना करवाती हूँ, भैया नहीं चाहिए खाना मत भेजिएगा। अब उनके नीचे वाली वो अभी फ़ोन करेगी, पानी भेज रही, फला भेज रही। तो कर कौन रहा है? महाराज जी करवा रहे। जब उन्होंने अकेला रखा है, जो ऑर्डर किया मैं तो वो कर रही हूँ। अब मेरे पैर में फ्रैक्चर हो गया, मैं कहूँ जी मैं बड़ी भगत थी, मेरे फ्रैक्चर क्यों हो गया? तो दो चीज़ें मुझे पता है कि जो अगले और जन्म होने होते हैं ना, उसका भी तो काटेंगे इस जन्म में, अगर हमें इस जन्म में वो दिलाना है तो। अब मेरे क्या होना था उसको इतने कम में कर दिया, फिर भी मैं चल रही हूँ। तो वो जो किस्मत में लिखा है वो तो होगा, वो अगले पिछले जन्मों के कर्म हैं। लेकिन संत उसको कम कर देता है, टाल देता है। तुम्हारी फ़ोन से पहले मेरे को यही जागरण हुआ कि ये बता बस कि माँ बाप की सेवा जो है वो सबसे बड़ा पूजा है, और वो करने से भगवान खुद मिलेंगे।
और आप रोज कोई पूजा करते हैं?
पूजा महाराज जी की करती हूँ।
कौन सी, कैसे करते?
ऐसे ही आरती करती हूँ, जो सुंदरकांड पढ़ती हूँ। और उनका वो मैंने कहीं पढ़ा है महाराज जी का कि ऐसे करने से ना सुंदरकांड पढ़ना चाहिए। तब से मैं रोज़ पढ़ती हूँ। पहले मैं कुछ नहीं करती थी। जब महाराज जी मिले, उन्होंने कहा हमने तो कभी हनुमान चालीसा नहीं किया। तो सिद्धि माँ बोली कि उषा हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ा कर, बड़ा मुश्किल है माँ। तो बड़ी मुश्किल हुई मेरे संग। तो मैंने कहा अच्छा, एक हनुमान चालीसा से शुरू किया। बड़े मुश्किल से। ये सब मैं कुछ नहीं करती थी। हमारी माँ करती थी ना, तो अब लेटे लेटे सुनते रहते थे। लेकिन अब बैठ के सुंदरकांड भी पढ़ रहे हैं, हनुमान चालीसा भी पढ़ रहे हैं।
कितनी बार करते हैं?
वो जैसे करवाए। महाराज जी क्या करने आए थे कि सब एक हो, क्या साउथ, क्या नॉर्थ, क्या अमेरिका, क्या विलायत, क्या वो असली क्या है प्रेम और एक दूसरे का वो। और उन्होंने सबका साथ करवाया। कैंची में नहीं सारे फॉरेनर्स आते थे, अब अमेरिकन कितने भगत हो रहे हैं। तो महाराज जी ये करने आए थे कि प्रेम जो है वो सबके लिए, कहीं न भेद न भाव न जात न पात न साउथ न इंडिया। ये मेरे को ज्ञान हुआ है, वो महाराज जी ने कराया।
क्या कहते हैं, जो भी आप कहें कि प्रेम मोहब्बत तो बहुत थी, पर हम एक दूसरे के साथ मजाक करते रहते थे। और मजाक उनको भी पसंद था, मजाक हमको भी पसंद था। और बीच में जो लोग, ज़्यादातर लोग जो आते थे वो बड़े गंभीर किस्म के लोग आते थे, क्योंकि उनकी कुछ न कुछ समस्या होती थी, कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम होता था। तो उसमें ये अच्छा रहता था कि बीच में जैसे वो चले जाएं, बीच में कुछ थोड़ा सा मजाक हो जाए, थोड़ी हंसी हो जाए। आई वॉज गोइंग डाउन टू पिक हिम अप and then driving up back with him to Nainital. One day, Usha Bahadur, I think you should ask her, she had a very interesting relationship with him, and once it was raining, बहुत जोर की बारिश हो रही थी, उषा बहादुर वेव कर रही थी कि रुक जाओ मैं भी चलूँगी। तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं, और तेज चला। वो भीगी, बिल्कुल बेचारी बुरी तरह भीगी हुई, ऊपर हमारे घर पहुँची। तो कहने लगी, अरे कैसे आदमी हो, हमारे लिए गाड़ी भी नहीं रोकी। Then my mother had to give her a sari and a blouse or something or the other. तो ये सब चलता रहता था।
But why did he not want to stop?
Teasing. I mean, I don't know. I think he was teasing people whom he was really fond of, or people who were really fond of him.
He was harder on them also.
Can be harder on them, but I don't think he was ever hard. The hardest thing was to find that one day he had disappeared and left his body. It took me a very long time to get over that.
Late in August 1973, I'd been in Kenchi a couple of months. One afternoon, a girl came up from the ashram to the Ketcher house where I was staying and said to everybody, "You all have to leave the valley." Baba said, "Jiao." Everybody jiao, but you should come back in a month for Durga Puja. And it's the first time I'd done what I was told for a long time. But this is what Baba said. I was going to go. Put a bus to Bawali, another one to Kathmandu, got on the train and headed off to Nepal. And I got to Kathmandu, spent maybe 2 days in Kathmandu, didn't really take to it, and I went over and was to Pokhara, and I decided to go on the Johnson Trek, which goes up past the Annapurna Mountains. 2 days out from Johnson, so maybe that's 2 weeks after leaving Kenchi. And I stopped, I started to cry. And I wept, and wept, and wept. And I didn't know why. And all I knew was I had to get back to Kenchi. So I forget the trek, I turned around and I started walking down the hill. And I didn't know the Chalisa, didn't know anything Hindi really at that time. I started singing hymns. I started singing, "Oh, Come All Ye Faithful," really kind of loudly, and I was crying and weeping and singing. And I think, well, I'm sure the Nepali people who were going the other way thought, "Oh, this hippie's he's lost it," but I was paying no attention to them. And then I managed to get to Kathmandu and got a bus out of Nepal into India, and then I started going on trains. And I was on the train from the other side of Lucknow, heading for Bareilly. And I met somebody that day on the train, and he had a small chess set. And we started playing chess. And an Indian man came over to me. And he was quite a stocky man, with short dark hair and a little moustache. And he was wearing a white kurta and white pyjamas with sandals. And he kind of stood there, and he said, I looked at him, he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Craig." And he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Wales." And he said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to my guru's ashram." And he said, "Who is your guru?" I said, "Neem Karoli Baba." And he looked, and he said, "I think he's passed." Passed? He said, "Yes." And he turned around and he went to his man he was travelling with, another Indian man, but he was carrying an attaché case, a small one. And the man who'd spoken to me opened the case and he took out a newspaper. So this is like 10 days after Mahasamadhi, and it said, "Neem Karoli Baba has gone into Mahasamadhi, passed away." And I looked and I read, I kind of looked at the man, he looked at me, and I said, "I'm still going to Kenshi." And he said, "Yeah, okay." He wrote an address, and he said, "If you want to find peace, you should go here. It's where I live." And I don't even think I read the address. Then he said, "Okay, now you can go back to your game." Very, very specific. Yeah. And he went back to his companion, and I can't even remember seeing him again on the train. That's what happened on the train. Now, if we go on 20 years, at least 20 years, we'd been visiting Mataji, City Ma, the family, 2 kids, my wife and me, and we'd been there for a month, and it was our last day in the ashram. We had to leave. And we'd been to see Ma, and she sent us into Baba's bedroom, which is kind of at the back, in that back corner. And we'd never been in there before. There's a shelf with photographs, and they're all photographs at different times in Baba's life. From when he was a young sadhu with the hair, and we were looking at the pictures, and I looked at this one picture, and I recognised the man on the train. I could not believe it. What made his face stick in my memory so clearly was what had happened, what he told me, and it was Maharaji. I mean, his compassion, you know. I wept in Nepal. even though I didn't know why, but he let me get rid of the grief. And then he came onto the train just to tell me what had happened, so it wasn't a huge shock when I got off the bus in Kent. Wonderful. It's Neem Karoli Baba.
नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
महाराज की जय. This kachori, there is a lady, old lady. He used to bring kachori is a kind of a puri type of thing. So she used to bring kachori every week for Maharaji, and Maharaji used to eat it. So after Maharaji leaving his body, he gave up bringing. So one day Maharaji came in her dreams. He said, "Why did you leave? Do you think that I am dead?" Then she started bringing. So this is his lila. Even in dreams he can give you instructions, but it requires faith, what you call implicit faith.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Jai Hanuman.
3, 3.5, 4 घंटे और काफ़ी बाबा की भक्ति में सब लीन हैं, जितने भी श्रद्धालु हैं सब बाबा की भक्ति और शक्ति के बल से पहुंच रहे हैं.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram,
I was not even really knowing what the sadhu is. You understand? So there were actually two sadhus. Now these elderly guys, I think they were in their 60s, 70s at that time. They were actually born in England. And they were living in a small kutir, also near Kasadevi. They told me, yeah, there's a place called Kenji, and I said, no, I've never heard about it. Oh, you should go there one time, like that.
So they had been with Maharaj?
Yeah, they had been. So they said, then they told me, yeah, he has left his party, but anyway, go there. Go there. You will have darshan there. Then finally I came to this place called Kenji.
Okay.
And then at that time Kenji was very tiny. There was nothing. Down here was one small post office and a chai wala, bastige. No dukans, nothing. And also this road was not there. There is still the shortcut going up the hill there. I had a small kutir. I got to know the people I'm staying with, also Tiwaris. So I got to know a young man in my age, Mahesh Tiwari, and he said, you can come with me. We have a small kutir up in the apple orchards. I had no calendar, no watch, no agenda, nothing. So what I did, my daily routine was going down the mountain once or twice a day. And Siddhima was very kind. The ashram was very beautiful. The people were very friendly. At the same time, it was clear that it was not a place where you could stay, not in my age. No? So I was wondering, what to do. That was like, the question was very intense. What next? I was coming down the hill, and on that day I had the idea to take wildflowers for puja. You may know lantanas. Yeah, you have them in orange
And pink.
and pink. So I like them very much because they look like,
A cluster.
yeah, you know, like a mandala, a changing mandala. So I was greatly attracted to these flowers. So I took a handful, came down this hill there, walked up over the old bridge. At that time the bridge was a bit more tight. And on the middle of the bridge, the pujari came. He looked at me, he looked at the flowers, looked again at me. Tikne. He took them out of my hand and threw them in the river and told me, you have to bring marigold, roses. That's what you have to bring. So I was a bit flabbergasted, no? And I thought, look at the beauty of this. Can you do it? But anyway, we were in good terms. So finally we smiled at each other, and I went empty-handed inside. So next day, one old sadhu I met at the same place, very old sadhu, on the bridge. He called me and said to me, hey son, what you are doing here? I have something to convey to you. Now this sadhu, he spoke a very nice English. So very uncommon in these days in Kumaon, I could communicate with him. So he called himself Brahmachari, but it is not the Brahmachari of the ashram. It was a totally different guy, very old man, totally full white hair and full, but still very vigorous guy. No? So he said, you see, when I was a boy, I left home, and I don't stay longer than 3 days in one place. And he was a marvel of a man. He had walked from Afghanistan, from Bamiyan, all the way to southern Sri Lanka, to the Skanda place, to the Murugan place, no, in the south of the... He had been to Lhasa and Mount Kailash. Everything by foot or riding on top of the train, of the rail car. So I was just sitting there like a small boy listening to this man. And before he left, suddenly he said, I will give you initiation now. So he took me in this room and he gave me a mantra diksha and all these things, and he told me certain things, what I should do. And then he said to me, you see, long time ago, I arrived in Pondicherry one day. And when I arrived in the railway station, one of my fellow sadhus called me and said to me, come with me. So we came to a street and many people were standing there. And after some time, one lady came out on a terrace. And he said she looked at me 3 seconds. And then he said to me, you should go there.
He told you to go to Pondicherry.
Yeah,
How many days did you spend with him?
3 days. Yeah.
And did he- what-
I never saw him again.
Gave you a name?
Yeah, he gave me the name Kartik, right here. I was a very stubborn kid, so I didn't go immediately. I went to one jungle retreat on an island between Sri Lanka and India to stay in total silence, in isolation. Only after that, I came back to Rameshwaram, took a train, arrived in Pondicherry. I arrived at the gate of the ashram. one old man was standing there, tall man. Later I found out it was Champaklal, the person who was attending Sri Aurobindo and Mother. I didn't know, so he took me by the hand, looked at me and said, "Son, you have come late, but you have come." Then he took me inside the courtyard, and I was a bit shaken, no? Because I have never seen this man, and he just takes me by the hand and say, "How can he know that I am late?" So I was eyes half closed, walking beside this man, and he said, "Sit down here." So I sat down. I don't know how long. He had brought me inside the inner courtyard. Inside, where is the Samadhi? It's a big tree with a marble structure. So I sat there, slowly came up, opened my eyes. This whole Samadhi on that day was covered with lantana flowers. So you can imagine how I felt. No? I was weeping. And on that day, never again I have seen it, and I have seen it so many times, hundreds, thousands of times in the meantime. It was covered with the orange lantanas. No? You have these two shades. No? So it was mainly the orange one. There was also a few pink, but mainly it was the orange one. So I was in tears, simply. I mean, how you can explain all that? It is too much for the reasonable mind to understand. So inside there is like a collapse. When I came back again, I was so grateful that how beautifully Maharaj has guided me, because from that moment on, everything opened. I had so many opportunities. I was working in reforestation and soft energy projects. Just things were flowing and coming. So each time I come here and thank to Maharaj, because from that point on, my inner development really took a beautiful turn, and I could proceed step by step in the inner development.
So you feel like, in a way, Maharaj sent you to
Yeah,
the
of course,
place,
he sent me.
He sent you to the place which
Yeah.
is appropriate for you.
Yeah, it was, these great souls like Maharaji, they guide every individual personally. They are according to what is the need of the moment. I mean, if you hear about so many people which have come in contact with Maharaji before and after, it's all individual stories. It doesn't mean automatically that you have to stay here in Kanchi.
Yeah.
No? No?
Exactly.
So this is what I felt when what I told you in the beginning. No? There was a very sweet opening. At the same time, there was something reluctant. No? So, for me as a young man, it was not a good place to stay. So he arranged in such a beautiful way. You know? And when I first time came back, you know, the old Mugachi who was here, who wrote this book, Mukha, how you pronounce? So, I knew Dada quite well. First time I came back, I came to his room, I came in, he was sitting there with a book. I knew this book very well. It's called White Roses. It's White Roses, and it is written by one of the close disciples, a lady painter who was living in the ashram all her life in Pondi. So he had this book, reading in it, and he looked at me and said, "You are coming from a place with a vast consciousness." Now what do you say?
You're coming from a place with a vast consciousness.
Yeah.
And he knew without you saying?
Yeah, I didn't say him.
Without you?
Yeah, I didn't. So you see,
He
you
knew
see the,
without you
yeah.
telling him that
Yeah.
you're coming from.
You see, I looked at the book with other surprise, no? White Roses here in Kanchi at that time, no? You are coming from a place with a vast consciousness. Yeah. So you can see how, on the level of these outstanding beings, there is a direct connection. And each individual soul is guided according to what is best for its development. There is no this ashram or that ashram and this sect or that sect. It doesn't exist for these people. There is each individual being which is unique and it has its unique way. So the real master knows that and guides accordingly. So in my heart, all this is inside. There is no division. When I'm here, I'm fully here. Jai Maharaj. No? When I'm in Pondicherry, Jai Sri Aurobindo, Jai Mataji. There's no, it is sub ekhe. It's the same. Yeah, it's sub ekhe. That's it. He was right. That's a sentence who struck me here. You know, when I first time came here, sub ekhe. I thought, You know, in your being, you have so many possibilities. And the smile of a child at the entry of this ashram may open another door in you. You know? Or you go, or this monkey is shouting, and your half is laughing. You see, something is happening. You see, what you call the guru. The guru has taken a form in the beginning to help us. He is there in a physical form. For some people, they can meet him in this physical form. Some people cannot meet him. No? But after some time you realize the guru is you. It's you. It's you. You. Everybody. This is the guru. There's the guru. And then you have finally arrived in yoga. Before we are only reasonable beings. So this is why I come here. Every single step is the guru.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Karoli Gabarata Patumara E Parase Gajagata Ujjaya Sadhu Santa Ke Tumara Kawale Asura Nikandana Rama Bulare Ashta Siddhina Nidhikedata Asavaradina Janakina Ramarasayana Tumare Pas Sadara Ho Raghupati Ke Pas Tumare Bhajana Rama Ji Ko Pave Janama Janama Ke Dukha Bisarave Antakala Raghupara Pura Jai Jahan Janmari Bhaktaka Aur Devata Jitana Karai Mat Se Sarva Sukha Karai Sankat Kate Bite Sabhi Jo Sumire Tabalabi
बहुत फास्ट चल रही है गाड़ी
Sitaram 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 Sitaram
बाबाजी महाराज की
Sitaram Jai Jai
आ रुक गया
एक दिन जैसे वहाँ पर क्रिमेशन हो गया वृंदावन में, तो वी वेंट बैक टू आगरा। आगरा में हमारा घर था। घर में हम लोग पहुँच गए थे वापस। तो सवेरे सवेरे 8 बजे करीब एक बाबा आए, अंदर घुस आए। पिताजी को बोलते हैं तो उनके लड़के हो? पिताजी ने कहा हाँ बताइए, पैर छुए उनके। तो वो कहने लगे कि मैं महाराज जी के साथ रहा हूँ और मेरी इच्छा है कि 13 दिन तक जो विधि विधान से उनका जो क्रियाक्रम करते हैं वो मेरे द्वारा करवाओ। उन्हीं ने मुझे भेजा है। फादर बोले बिल्कुल महाराज, आप जैसा कहेंगे वैसा करेंगे। इतना बोलने पर उनने अपने झोले में से 100 रुपए के नोट निकाल के टेबल पे पटकने लगे। ये तो फादर का एक्सपीरियंस है, फादर बता रहे थे। इतना ऊँचा ढेर लगा दिया 100 रुपए की गड्डी का। बोले रख ले, काम आएगा और तो खर्चा वर्चे के लिए हो जाएगा। पिताजी ने हाथ जोड़ लिए, बोले नहीं महाराज जी, अपनी माया आप रखो अपने पास। महाराज जी ने हमें बहुत दिया है, आप जो बोलोगे वैसा हम करने को तैयार हैं। फिर निकले साहब। दूसरे दिन से रोज़ाना सवेरे 7 बजे आ जाते थे। वहाँ से जमुना जी के किनारे पे जाते थे और वहाँ वो पूजा कराते थे। तो एक दिन, अब हम भी छोटे थे, इट वाज हार्डली मैं 10th में पढ़ता था, तो हम भी साथ साथ जाते थे। तो एक दिन उन्होंने ज़मीन से गिट्टी उठाई एक, और बोले खा ले इसको। तो मैंने कहा बाबा ये गिट्टी है, कैसे खा लूँगा मैं इसको? बोले नहीं, प्रसाद है प्रसाद है, खा ले। तो खाया तो बर्फ़ी बन गई। तो हमें तो बहुत अच्छा लगा कि यार ये तो बहुत अच्छे महाराज मिल गए हैं, अब तो अच्छा मज़ा आएगा। रोज़ाना बड़े टाइम से उठ के जाने लगे, बिल्कुल 7 बजे वो आ जाते थे। फिर चलने लगे, दूसरे दिन चलने लगे। तो बगल में एक ठेला जा रहा था, उसमें मूंगफली रखी थी, मूंगफली उठा ली उनने, जो करने लगे और बोले ले प्रसाद खा ले। तो चिरौंजी दाने बन गए। हमने कहा ये तो बहुत अच्छे चिरौंजी दाने मीठे वाले वो बन गए, वो खा लिए। तो ऐसा चला। इसी बीच मदर की तबीयत ख़राब हो गई, बहुत तेज़ बुखार आ गया। तो अपने पास तो ये मिरेकलस मैन थे, तो हमने कहा कि हमारी माँ को भी ठीक कर देंगे। तो हम ले गए उनको अंदर कमरे में। बोले कहाँ है बताइए। आप बिलीव नहीं करोगे, वो आदमी काफ़ी विशालकाय पर्सनैलिटी थी और पूरा गेरुआ का ढीला ढाला नीचे तक का सिंगल पीस था, वो पहन के आते थे वो। और वहाँ गए, हाथ ऊपर करा, बोले जय शंकर जय हरू। एक एप्पल आ गया, एप्पल को बोलते हैं खिला दो उसको मम्मी को। आप बिलीव नहीं करोगे, उसको खिलाने के 2 घंटे बाद शी बिकेम ऑल राइट। फिर वो बोलते थे कि ऐसा है, महाराज जी बहुत मना करते थे कि सिद्धि बड़े मुश्किल से मिलती है, इसका प्रदर्शन नहीं करना चाहिए, प्रदर्शन करने से इसके बहुत ख़राब असर होते हैं। मैंने कहा फिर आप क्यों दिखाते हो? तो बोले ये तो कभी कभी अपने लोगों को दिखा देता हूँ, अन्यथा मैं नहीं दिखाता। फिर हमारी जिज्ञासा हुई ये कौन है, पता लगाएं। साथ तो कोई रहता ही नहीं था, उनसे पूछने की हिम्मत नहीं होती थी। उनकी एज उस समय होगी 70 साल की हो गई, बाल बिल्कुल शेव्ड रहते थे। और पता लगाया एक बार, तो वहाँ एक नाई की दुकान थी राजा मंडी में। गरीब था वो नाई, उसका शोरूम सैलून बिल्कुल ख़राब था, टूटी हुई कुर्सी उर्सी। तो उसके बगल में उसके भाई का था, वो बहुत अच्छा था। इसके यहाँ आते थे वो। फिर पता लगा कि इसके यहाँ आते थे। तो पूछा ये कौन है, क्या है? तो बोले ये गिन्नी वाले बाबा हैं। और गिन्नी वाले बाबा का ये है कि वो उनका पता ही नहीं रहता कहाँ रहते हैं कहाँ जाते हैं। मुझे तो इतना मालूम है कि मेरे यहाँ आते हैं महीने सवा महीने में, और शेविंग करा के चले जाते हैं। पैसे वैसे मैं लेता नहीं उनसे, गुरुदेव हैं, मैं तो सेवा कर देता हूँ। फिर किस्सा बताया कि एक दिन मेरा ऐसा लगा है मेरे को कि बाबा से कुछ मांगूं। तो मैंने बनाई सेव, मैंने कहा बाबा हालत ख़राब हो रही है मेरे कमरे की, इसकी दुकान की, कोई ग्राहक नहीं आता है। तो बोले मैं क्या करूं, मैं क्या कर सकता हूं, नहीं आता ग्राहक तो। और जाने लगे तो फिर वो खड़ा हो गया, बोले महाराज कुछ कृपा हो जाए तो बहुत अच्छा है। तो बोले मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है। वो जमुना जी हैं, उनमें देख ले कुछ मिल जाए तो ठीक है। वही ढक्कन वाला वो था, तो बोले, मैंने उठाया उसको, खोला तो 100 रुपए की एक गड्डी उसमें अंदर पानी में थी। तो मैं अचंभित हो गया। तो मैंने कहा, महाराज इसमें पैसे हैं। तो बोले, रख ले, अब तेरे को चाहिए थे, जमुना जी दे रही हैं, रख लो। फिर मैंने बहुत अच्छी दुकान बना ली। उसके यहाँ उनका कंटिन्यूशन आना रहता था। एक दिन क्या हुआ, हमारी दादी बहुत तेज, गुस्से वाली। हाँ, आपने नहीं देखा, अगर देखा होता तो पता लगता। बहुत हो गया। नीचे वाले कमरे में बैठे हुए, ये बाबा भी आ गए। बाबा आके वहाँ बैठ गए। उस ज़माने में रविवार करके एक आता था, रविवार। तो रविवार पूरा महाराज जी पे था। हाँ, नीम करोली बाबा का पूरा एडिशन था वो। 10 पेज का छोटा अखबार होता था। तो वो अम्मा के पास था, तो इन्हें भी देखा। तो बोले, गलती से ये बोल दिया कि मुझे देना अम्मा जरा अखबार। हाँ, बाबा ने बोला। अरे अम्मा तो खूब नाराज़ हो गई कि तू इतना बड़ा संत है तो अपना निकाल ले अखबार, मैं नहीं दूंगी, और बड़े मुश्किल से आया है। और वो गुस्सा हो गए। गुस्सा हो गया, उन्होंने जो निकाल के फेंके अखबार अपनी झोली में से। बोले, माता जी अब आप रख लो, कितने चाहिए आपको। अचंभित हो गए सब। वो उनके साथ रहे थे, बताते थे।
I was working as a businessman accountant in Chicago, wearing a three-piece suit, carrying my briefcase. And I would go regularly for breakfast at the Sheraton Hotel coffee shop. And I walked in one morning, and sitting in my usual seat at the counter was this hippie, wild-looking clothes, big wild hair. And I was like, uh-oh. But the only seat to sit in was next to him, so I sat there and I kind of, you know, he's there, and I kind of turned a little bit. I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this guy. And of course, he didn't leave me alone. And he started asking me questions. I finally asked him a question. I said, so what do you do? And he said, oh, I'm getting ready to go to India. And I'm like, why? And he says, to meet my guru, Neem Karoli Baba. I burst into tears right then and there. And that's the first time it occurred to me, oh, I could go there and meet him. So I did decide I'd go to India. And this was in May of '73. I bought a ticket to go, and 3 days before I was to leave, my father passed. So I canceled my trip. And I bought another ticket to go to arrive in India on September 15th, 1973. And on the 12th, I received a telegram. The only telegram I've ever received in my life was from a devotee in India saying that Neem Karoli Baba had left his body. And I ripped that ticket up into tiny shreds and didn't come to India for many years. I did get caught in a lot of suffering and unworthiness. You know, of course, it's like, oh, it's all about me. My dad had to die just so I wouldn't be able to see Baba, and then Baba had to leave his body just so I wouldn't be there with him, you know. And it took a number of years to sort through that in that sense, but it was never about him leaving me or him doing it. It was always, I must have done something really bad that I didn't get there. when I was with Siddhima, I think it was in 1985, I was spending a lot of time with her in Vrindavan. And at that time, she told me that I should go and spend time with the Hanuman Pujari, stay with him, learn everything he was doing. I was like, I don't want to be doing puja, but she said to do it, so I did. Well, after being there, I think it was before Holi still, she was there for about 2 weeks. During that period, I became much more focused on Hanuman. I had always loved him, and after maybe a week, she started calling me Hanuman Das. So I was actually living in the East Coast at that time when I came to India. And in the summer of '86, I received a letter from Vishu McGee, who owned the land that the Hanuman Mandir had been put on. And he and I were good friends, and I had previously lived in New Mexico and helped put Hanuman in the room, and then I had to move for work. And he wrote me a letter saying, "You have to come back now. We're designing and building the new Hanuman Mandir this year." The night before I got the letter to come back to Taos, I had one of those darshan dreams, but in the darshan dream, Maharaji was crying. And I'm like, "Baba, what? You're not taking care of me. Nobody's taking care of me." And I'm like, "No, Baba, I do arti every day. I do my puja. I think of you all the time." And he's crying, "No, nobody's caring for me." And I woke up and I'm like, "What was that about?" And then I get the letter to come back to Taos and start taking care of the ashram. So I quit everything I was doing. Within 3 days, I was back in New Mexico. I got this letter. I decided, okay, I have to go as quick as possible. I told my friends, and there wasn't a dharamsala or anywhere that I'd stay in, so I knew I'd have to camp out in a tent for some time until we figured it out. And I told this to a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, well, I've got a friend who is a distributor for tents. Let me take you to visit him." And she's totally just a straight woman, nothing to do with God or guru. And on the way there, she says, "Oh, do you mind if I stop at the bank and then we'll go?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I sat in the car. She went in the bank. And after about 5 minutes, she comes running out. She's like, "Get out of the car, get out of the car." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And I get out of the car, and she couldn't speak. She was just going like this. And I look, and there's an old man with his head down, putting his key in the car. And he lifts his head up, and I swear it was Baba. I mean, it was so much Baba that my mind didn't do anything. I was on the ground, full danda pranam, like that. And so finally I get up, and I'm like, "Oh," and he was already driving away. We get in the car. We were both speechless. She drives me to where the guy has the tent. He has a lot of them. I pick one out. I ask him how much, and he says $300. So I go to reach in my pocket, and she goes, "No, no, no." She says, "I wanted to go to the bank so I could draw some money out to pay for your tent." And I'm at the counter thinking in my head, should I get 150 or 300? The man next to me turns to me and says 300. And she said, "I write that down, hand it to her, and I realized that that's the man in all the pictures in your house." And she said that's when she came running out. So she said, "Your Baba told me to get $300 to pay for your tent."
Wow.
For many years after Hanuman first came to America, I was involved in making it into a temple and an ashram, and lived there and took care of things. I was getting ready to leave to fly away that day to go visit my family. And I'm sitting there in a lungi and a t-shirt, and the policeman comes in, and I'm like, "Okay." And he says, "Oh, I have a warrant for your arrest." And I'm like, "That's impossible." Oh. He says, no, I haven't, and I said, well, can I see it? And he, no, it was on the radio. They told me that they had you in their records. So I'm like, okay. And he said, you have to come with me. And I said, well, let me go change into some clothes. And I went and I put my clothes on. And I come back out. And I had a nice size picture of Neem Karoli Baba in my kitchen. And he was standing in the kitchen. And when I come back out, he's standing there like frowning and staring at this picture. And he turns to me, he goes, where is this guy? And I'm like, well, that's my guru, and he died in 1973. Don't give me that crap. And I go, no, really, he died. No, I see him down on the plaza, and every time he's got that blanket on, and I think I have to go and see who he is, and he turns a corner and he's disappeared. So I'm like, well, actually, he left his body. He never came to America, and but people say that that's how that he does that. So they took me to the jail, and I said, well, can I bail out? Can I, and they're like, oh no, the bondsman is gone already. It's too late. And it was a weekend, so I would have had to stay for the whole weekend in jail. And just as he said that, some man walks through and he says, oh, I was just coming back to get my keys. He needs a bond? And so he said, okay, I'll write you a bond. And he said, that'll be $125. Well, I had just grabbed a pair of pants. I hadn't even thought about money. And I thought, oh no, I don't have any money. I reach in my pocket and there's exactly $125 in there. So I'm like, okay, Baba, I don't know why you're doing this, but so I give him the money, and they take me back home, and I still had time to get ready to catch my plane, so I rushed around, jumped in my truck, and started driving out of town. Well, it started to sleet, snow, kind of, and I'm driving along, and I see a coyote. I don't know if you know what a coyote is, but in the middle of the road, but it was like emaciated. And so I slowed way down, and then I kind of had to pull off the side of the road so I didn't hit it. And as I got off on the side of the road, my car died, and then the engine burst into flames. So I'm like, okay, and I was like thanking the coyote because had it not,
Oh my God.
I would have been driving along, and who knows, on an icy road when that happened, anything bad. And so I thanked the coyote and thanked Baba, and then in those days there were no cell phones. This was in maybe '86 or something. So then I hitchhike back to the ashram, and I get there. And as I walk in, the phone is ringing, and I answer the phone, and it's a devotee who is in a great deal of pain, and he says that he has a gun to his head and he's going to kill himself. So I spent 2 hours on the phone with him. He didn't ever kill himself. And I think to myself, did you do all of this for that devotee just so I would not take my trip and be here to answer the phone and talk him through it? And so, I mean, who knows what Baba's ways are? I mean, the policeman seeing him in town, what was that about? Well, the next day I went to check on my arrest, and they said, oh, that was some big mistake. There's nothing in the system about you. I'm like, okay, I figured that was the case. Then later that day, that policeman comes with all of the policemen from the town, brings them to the ashram, shows them the picture, and says, he's been dead all these years, and yet he appears to me. You take care of this place.
मैं शादी करके आई थी तो अपने हस्बैंड और अपने सासू माँ के साथ कैची मंदिर गई। मैं जैसे घूमर घूमर डाला होता है हस्बैंड के किसी चीज़ से शादी चल रही थी और तब से लेकर अब तक मैं जब भी कैची जाती हूँ बहुत आनंद महसूस करती हूँ। 14 साल हो गई शादी को तो बहुत भारी मन लेके जाती हूँ और यहाँ से जाती हूँ तो वहाँ से हल्का मन लेके आती हूँ और हमें जब भी मैंने उनको याद किया है महाराज जी को अपने साथ पाया है। मेरी माँ जो सासू माँ थे बहुत सीरियस थी। महाराज जी को मानते हो तुम इतने कष्ट में अभी रह रहे हो मतलब उनको बेड में रहना पड़ा
बेड सोर टाइप की हो गई है ना
इस टाइप का। तो मैं हम जो भी हमसे होता है हम करते थे तीनों को वही। तो मैं कहती अब मैं क्वेश्चन करती थी तुम इतना मानती हो तुम इतना कष्ट झेल रहे हो तो तुम्हारा अभी उन्हें मेरे सासू माँ ने बताया जो मैं झेल रही हूँ इसकी सहन करने की ताकत भी मेरे को महाराज जी दे रहे हैं और तुम मेरे सामने भी खड़े हो सेवा कर रहे हो ये भी उन्हीं की कृपा है। तुम्हें ऐसी शुद्ध बुद्धि आ रही तो उन्हीं की कृपा से आ रही है कि तुम मेरे 3 बहू मेरे सामने लगे हो। ये सद्बुद्धि हर किसी को नहीं आती है जिसके मेरा शरीर मेरा है मैं इंसान हूँ तो मुझे ये कष्ट होना है और भगवान करे ऐसी सद्बुद्धि हमको हमेशा दे चाहे और औरों को भी दे। महाराज की कृपा ऐसी सबको बनी रहे।
संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई जो सतबार पाठ कर कोई छुटही बंधी महा सुख होई जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महाडेरा।
I think in my case, I've come to understand that I know less and less about how things are.
As you progress
Well, yeah, and some particular events in my own life have showed me I don't know anything. And I think that from the view of a siddha who sees all of that, sees past births. So in our 3 or 4 dimensional world, I think Maharaji is seeing it from another dimension, where time and space and all of it is just one. And he always kept saying, Sabek, it's all one. And from that place, everything is available and it's all, in fact, the same. And the individual differences that we live in are, I guess what you call lila. It's the play. And we're the players. And we don't often know what our parts are. Well, I used to assume that having a guru meant you had that protection and blessing. And 4 years ago, my 14-year-old daughter was killed in a traffic accident. And it shattered me, just tore me apart. And it's still very much a deep wound. But it also opened my heart in a way that probably nothing else could have. I thought having kids really had opened my heart. And that happened to me very late in life. First child came 2 weeks after my 50th birthday, so late starter. But losing a kid, it was like all of your assumptions get swept away. And it's hard to see the blessing in something like that. But it's also, here it is. This was life and death. And I'm much more aware of the tenuous nature of life. I didn't question Maharaji. I was out working with Ram Dass when it happened, so I wasn't at home. And I got the news that she'd been hit by a car on her bike, and then she was taken to a trauma center. And when I heard that she hadn't made it out of the surgery, I said to Ram Dass, she didn't get to finish her life. And he looked at me and he said, yes, she did. Not quite with that tonality, but with that kind of, it was that shift in perspective to seeing this lifetime as a lifetime, not the only lifetime. And it's like, it's not that it's your life. It's not, this is not entirely my life. And I know that my daughter is under Maharaji's blanket. Seeing your life as a spiritual path doesn't protect you from having to go through a lot of intense difficulty in your life. And we used to call the time at Kenchi, when we were all there with Maharaji, under his everything was under his sharan, his blessing. And we used to call it the pressure cooker, because it was at times all of our personal kind of defects came up, getting angry about silly stuff, and this and that, and wanting his attention, and we came to call it the grace race.
Yeah.
As everyone wanted that, but we were just bathed in his love, and at the same time he was taking us through our stuff. Even when you're going through the worst stuff, he's here. And I mean, sometimes you can't find him because your mind gets torn away by events or your own attachments.
Yeah.
We ended up doing these Vipassana Buddhist meditation courses in Bodh Gaya.
With Goenka.
Yeah, with Goenka, and that was very much about that detachment process of learning to see your mind as, kind of a separate play. There used to be a cigarette brand in India, I don't know if they still sell them, called Passing Show.
Passing Show.
Yeah. So you can see these billboards for Passing Show. And that was the kind of way that we learned to see our minds and all of this that we're caught up in, I think the other thing that I maybe felt from Maharaji was just his kind of cosmic giggle about it all, the humor of how we get caught up in our idiocy most of the time. And I think that is a kind of saving grace, is the humor of being able to be lighthearted about it even when it's painful.
मंगलमूर्ति मारुत नंदन सकल मंगल मूल निकंदन श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम
आप विश्वास करें न करें, ये इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। उसको हमारी ज़रूरत नहीं है, हमको उसकी ज़रूरत है। वही मैंने कहा ना, हम उससे कुछ आ रहे हैं तो हमें उसका जैसा तो बनना पड़ेगा। कष्ट भी उठाने पड़ेंगे, गाली भी खानी पड़ेगी, क्यों ना जब वो अपनी तरफ खींचता है। आप ये समझ लीजिए, उसको साइंटिफिक कॉज से समझिए। यू आर गोइंग टू प्योरिटी के मतलब एक्सट्रीम में जा रहे हैं, अल्टीमेट में जा रहे हैं। आप चाह रहे हैं कि आप उस तक जाना चाह रहे हैं जहाँ पे कोई इम्प्योरिटी है ही नहीं, लेकिन आपके अंदर बहुत इम्प्योरिटीज़ हैं। आपको अपना पहले अंदर से जितना हो सकता मैं को ख़त्म करना पड़ेगा। मैं नहीं हूँ तो कष्ट नहीं है। जैसे वो जनादे में हूँ ना आपको, तो आप समझिए आप जीत गए बस, और क्या समझ से बड़ी बात। ये तो आपकी खुशी है ना, वो महसूस करा दे मैं तेरे पास हूँ करके, बस जिस आपको मिल गया। तो उनका एक विश्वास तो है ना, तो विश्वास पे सब कुछ। मैंने आपसे कहा ना, हनुमान जी का विश्वास था तो वो चले गुड़ी लेके, महाराज जी का विश्वास था तो वो पानी लेके उसने घी बना दिया। तो ये सब चीज़ें, सारा खेल विश्वास का है।
आपकी राय में मनुष्य भगवान हो सकता है?
मनुष्य तो भगवान है, ढूंढे तो सही।
भगवान का अवतार है या भगवान है? भगवान हो सकता है।
लेकिन ना अवतार क्या है, सब उसी, हम सब क्या है, उसी पार्ट तो है ना। मतलब मैंने कहा वही कन्फ्यूजन हम लोगों का यही तो है ना, हम आए कहाँ से हैं। वो क्रिएचर तो वही हमारा ना, वो किसी रूप पे भी है, तो उसको तो वो ढूंढते हम अपने अंदर ही ना। आपने देखा हनुमान जी को या आपने किसी को देखा, माना ही तो है ना, विश्वास ही पे तो है, हम ही तो हैं। वो अपने अंदर ढूंढ रहे हैं, जो ढूंढ लिया वो पा लिया, जो ढूंढता रह गया उसने जिंदगी काट दी।
अंदर से सब कुछ उन्होंने करना, मुझे तो ये अनुभव हुआ है कि वो क्या कहें वो ऐसा करो। वो राइदा जिन्होंने अलौकिक दिखा के लिखी है, उनकी वाइफ को सपने में, भाभी हुई ना हमारी, उनको सपने में आया कि क्या कहते हैं, महाराज जी बैठे हुए हैं सड़क के पास, बरामदे मकान के अंदर। तो कुछ सड़क में लड़के फिल्मी गाना गाते हुए जा रहे हैं। तो उन्होंने कहा, तो उनको अच्छा नहीं लगा भाभी को कि ऐसे गंदे गंदे गाने गा रहे। तो उन्होंने कहा बुलाओ उनको, तो उन्होंने क्या है गाने सुनाओ, कहा ना। तो उन्होंने इतने इतने भजन सुनाए, खूब बढ़िया। तो वो कह लगे कि नहीं, जो तुम वहाँ गा रहे थे वो सुनाओ। तो उनका नहीं, महाराज हमको तो याद ही नहीं आ रहा, हमको यही गाने याद। तो उसके बाद ऐसे धीरे से उसके कान में कह लगे, भाभी के कान में, कि हम कुछ नहीं जानते, हम हृदय परिवर्तन करना जानते। तो मुझे तो यही अनुभव है कि अंदर से, और सब काम जब बीमारी ले ली, तुमको विश्वास होना चाहिए कि वो करते हो। उर आनहु रघुपति प्रभुताई, मैं अपनी माँ से भी कहती, उर आनहु रघुपति प्रभुताई, सुनी मम वचन तजहु कतराई। कि तुम विश्वास करो कि वो कितना समर्थवान है, सब कुछ कर सकते हैं। महाराज हम उतना मांग ही नहीं सकते, मेरे हस्बैंड कहते थे, हम कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते वो क्या कर सकते हैं।
Sri
Sankataharana Mangalamurati Rupa Rama Lakshmana Sita Sahita Hridaya Pasahu Surabhupasya Hare Ramachandra Parajay Sharanam
Pavana Sutta Hanuman ki Jai Sri Umapati Mahadeva ki Jai Sri 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 Ekazarat Sri Baba Neem Karoli Santa Maharaj ki Jai Sri Guru Mata Sri Ma Durga Mai ki Jai Kenshi Dham ki Jai